Hello, once again, everybody. It's your boy, Mr. David YT, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Mr. David. Now, with Halloween just around the corner, I decided to make a video called Fear. The subject of today is fear. Now, fear is more than just an emotion that you get sometimes. You could either feel fear or be fearful. Okay, you could feel afraid or be afraid. There's a big difference between the two. You see, take the firefighters, for example. They pretty much risk their lives putting out fires, especially here in California with all the wildfires. Fighting fire can be a scary experience. Okay, they may feel fear when they go out there into the danger zone, but they are not afraid to put out the fire. Okay, and the same could be said about soldiers in the military. They probably feel fear all the time, but they refuse to back down because they're soldiers. They were designed to be killing machines. I mean, imagine the fear and stress that the soldiers felt on D-Day when they had to land on the beach and were attacked by German gunfire or machine gun fire, and watch their their brothers in arms get blown up and killed and everything. I mean, that was a frightening experience, but they pushed forward to overcome the Germans. So you see, you can feel fear, but you don't have to be afraid. Now, if you are afraid, then you have allowed yourself to cave in to fear. Okay, you're thinking fearful thoughts, you're coming up with ways to avoid said fearful thing or person. You are afraid. Now, there are also two types of fear in the world. There's respectful fear, and then there's irrational fear. Respectful fear is, as the name goes, it's basically like respect you give for someone or something that it's how do I put it this way? Respectful fear is like you're afraid of someone or something, but not in a fearful manner. Like you respect them. You know not to mess with them. That's respectful fear. When you know you should not mess with someone or something, that is called respectful fear. For example, a lot of people are, afraid of the police. Some people may have a phobia of the police, but some may also have a respectful fear. Now, see, I'm not afraid of the police. Okay, I have respectful fear of them. Like, if they were to tell me to freeze or put my hands up, I'd do it immediately. Heck, I still remember as a teenager, a cop was yelling at two girls who were walking away from him, and I thought he was talking to me. I froze in place and dropped my bike thinking he was talking to me. I'm like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. Now, necessarily, I'm not really scared, of the police. Like, I'm not afraid to be around them or call them if I need help. But when it comes to power and ranking, I do have that respectful fear. Like, I know not to ever mess with them. Okay, because they mean serious business. That's why I never mess with the police. Okay, I dare not. And the same, I mean, heck, you learn this type of fear as a kid. Have you ever had respectful fear for your mom or your dad? You had the kind of fear where you know not to mess with them because you know what would happen if you did. That's respectful fear. You don't mess with your parents when you're children. Okay, because you know what would happen and what the consequences would be. That's respectful fear. Now, Irrational fear is basically like phobias. It's basically phobias. There are dozens of phobias, okay? And the list could probably go on because as long as someone has an irrational fear of a person, place, thing, or situation, there could be numerous phobias, thousands maybe. Okay, the list of phobias could go on forever. Heck, you could even have a phobia of a certain character from a movie or a television show. I mean, let me show you guys a list, or at least a part of a list of phobias. And that's not even half the list. Now, you guys might be familiar with phobias such as fear of darkness, clowns, spiders, drowning, fears like that, phobias like that, you guys have already heard of. However, there are phobias out there that are so ridiculous, you guys would shake your head if you knew all of them. For example, some people are afraid of numbers. Some people are afraid of women. Some people are afraid of men. Now, those last two I can actually understand. Like, I'm not going to go into detail as to how I would understand that, but I can imagine why people would be scared of men or women. Okay, some people are afraid of flowers. Would you believe it? Some people are afraid of flowers. I don't understand how anyone could be afraid of flowers, but again, phobias. Some people are afraid of sharp objects. Some afraid of water. Some afraid of riding in a car. Again, the list goes on. In short, people are afraid of pretty much everything in existence. Maybe not everything at once, but if you were to gather everybody across the globe and put them together as one person, that person would probably be afraid of everything. Like literally everything. Because the fact that there are phobias out there, such as, again, fear of flowers, the fact that phobias like that exist tells you that, in a nutshell, people are pretty much scared of most of existence. It's horrible. And see, the worst thing about fear is fear can be very tormenting. Okay, I know this from personal experience. Fear is torture. It's tormenting. And speaking of torture, one of the most worst things that you could allow in your life that's no different from being fearful is worry. Okay, remember in my last video or my other video where I was talking about being focused in the present? Well, guys, worry is no different from fear. Because worry is basically usually when you sit there and dwell on destructive, fearful thoughts regarding the future. Okay, people who worry a lot live shorter lives, and they end up tormenting themselves while sitting there doing nothing. Worry is one of the worst things you could have in your life. Okay, you waste energy on something that may or may not happen, or something that has not happened yet. Okay, you are wasting your energy on a bunch of thoughts that exist in your head while in real time just sitting down doing nothing. You can literally waste energy doing nothing, but think about the future and be fearful. Okay, it's even in the dictionary that that worry is considered a torment. In the dictionary, it defines worry as tormenting oneself with destructive thoughts or something like that. So worry is no different from fear. Worry is all about fear, but fear of the future. And believe it or not, guys, from what I understand, Anger is kind of like the cousin of fear. That's right. Anger and fear have a connection. Now, I don't know how exactly I'm going to explain that though. Like people, I really don't know how to explain that. But from what I understand, anger and fear are related. Okay, they're like cousins. Anger is the cousin of fear. Okay, actually, you know what? Here's a good example. Some people may get angry when they think they're being rejected. Okay, that could stem from a fear of rejection. Okay, and so if they sense it, they get angry. And I know this because I have struggled with rejection myself. Okay, when I sense rejection, I used to get, and at times still get, very angry when I feel like I'm being rejected. Okay, and that could stem from a fear of rejection. Okay, but yeah, fear comes in all shapes and forms, shapes and sizes. Now, there is only one choice that you have when dealing with fear. And I'm not talking respectful fear. I'm not talking about worry or anger, but more specifically, I am talking about phobias. One of the best things you could do for phobias is to face your fear. Okay, I know that's not an easy thing to do. I know, I can relate to you. In fact, I still have phobias that I haven't faced. But if you have the desire or the motivation to take control of an area of your life that's being dominated by fear, a phobia of something, you have to face it. Okay, I know it's hard, but you have to face it in order to gain power. When you enter a state of fear, your body activates something called the fight or flight response, where basically you either run away from the danger or you fight it. So when you come face to face with one of your phobias, you have to choose. Are you going to run from it or are you going to fight it? Okay, because in the end, either side is going to win. Okay, you could run from the fear and let it win, or you could fight the fear and be the winner. So which is it? Fight or flight? Run or fight? It's all about choices. Okay, it's all about power. Fear will have power over you as long as you let it. You have to make the choice. Are you going to face your fear or are you going to continue to run? Because the more you run, the more power it has over you. But the more you fight, the less power it has over you. Okay, one fear I had to get over when I was a teenager was a fear of falling down on a ramp at the skate park when I was a teenager. Okay, I used to live next to a skate park. And the last time I went down one of the ramps, I fell down on my butt. Okay, and so ever since then, I was afraid to go down ramps because I was worried it was going to happen again. Until finally one day, I held in my breath, was frozen in place, and I went down the ramp without falling. And so I did it again and again until finally I'm able to do it without any effort and any hesitation. I had conquered my fear of going down the ramp, and therefore fear no longer has power in that area. So when you conquer your fear, you are gaining power in that area. Okay, fear cannot exist in that area as long as you're not afraid. Do you understand that now? If you're afraid of something, but you face that fear, and you do it repeatedly, you will no longer be afraid. Heck, you won't even feel afraid. you'll be free from fear in that area. So if it's one thing I would like to encourage you guys to do as we enter the Halloween season or holiday is pick a phobia that you're tired of having in your life and just make a decision that you're going to fight and face that fear so that you could walk away feeling happy and free, so that you could start the new year a free man or woman from whatever fear is tormenting you, whatever area of your life is being controlled by fear. So yeah, with that said, I'm Mr. David YT, and I'll see y'all next time. Don't eat too much candy now, y'all. You hear? Shalom.